Greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome to tonight's second half. A very interesting second half. A Texas game warden interview who shares some information about a attack on a human, and the blame is an unknown animal, which we all know what that means. Also, some very interesting video evidence. Before we jump into it, a couple links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost a cent. Click the like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because all of these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go, and folks, they matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump into tonight's second half, shall we? So tonight I've got Nick with us. Nick, how are you?
I'm doing great, sir. Thank you for asking.
Well, I appreciate you coming on and taking some time out of your evening to share the information you have with us.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the floor over to you, and you can share the information about Hood County, and then we'll lead into the encounters. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Let me start off. The way I received this information from a close friend in our family was that I have some friends and people live in my area. I live in the hill country in Texas, and I mentioned to my close friends, have they ever heard anything such thing as a Dogman where he's at? Because I heard there were some sightings up there, and lo and behold, he opened up and mentioned that yes, there has been sightings in the area. And that area we're speaking of is Hood County. Anyway, we started talking, and he is a believer because he was raised in Alabama, and he is a part of the Alabama Cochata tribe, and he was raised that he knew about the Rougarou growing up by his grandmother, the Native American. Talking about it, not to go out in the woods at night, to leave them alone. That's how the subjects opened up. And so sorry about that.
That's okay.
My wife's making toast there. But anyway, that's how the subject opened up. And he was telling me that the area, yeah, he heard of it because he's a close friend of the captain, division of wildlife in that area. Okay. And he started telling me that they had sightings, and his good buddy, the captain, started investigating about people reporting sightings of a creature out there. So lo and behold, my good friend was telling me that they decided to take a boat on the Brazos River where they were seeing sightings, reported sightings. And so he took the boat out at night, had cameras all around the boat. Of course, they were in the electric trolling motor, so they won't make no sound. So they're out there trolling in the river where, like I said, they had reported sightings of this creature, the Dogman. So lo and behold, my friend was telling that his good friend, the captain, was telling him that they heard a sound and they turned on the spotlights, and they caught the Dogman on video, on camera. They caught it on camera. Okay.
Wow.
Wow, that was really, and I was really excited about it. They caught it in camera, but they kept that to themselves.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, not too long after that, you hear about that the incident happening to that man that got killed out there. And my friend was telling me the captain, he said, yeah, the sheriff went out there and said it was a mountain lion, blah, blah, blah. So, well, since my friend's a good friend of the captain, he said he went out there to investigate because that's part of his area. He investigated and saw what it was. And then my friend was telling me, yeah, he investigated, saw what happened, saw the body and everything. And he said he told the sheriff that wasn't a mountain lion that did it. So when he came back and started talking to my friend, that was a close friend of the family, mentioned that, no, he told him it's that Dogman that you believe known as a Rougarou that killed that young man that killed him. And that's how I came out with that information. And I go, really? He goes, yeah, because they caught it on a camera not too long ago before that killing. They actually have photographs and videos of this thing running around in that area. Wow. And that's how I got the information that I started up telling them that people that I know in this area have encountered the Dogman in this area. And that's how I opened up the conversation with a good friend of mine.
Right.
And that's how I got the information from him.
Wow, that's crazy. So pretty much your friend of the family, his buddy's the captain of the wildlife division. He was on the boat and they got the picture of this. And that's, pretty much what the news is saying is the sheriff and the wildlife division are not agreeing. Sheriff saying mountain lion, wildlife division is saying it's not a mountain lion, but we're not going to tell you what it is. We're just saying it's not a mountain lion.
Right.
That's pretty. Did he say approximately when the sighting occurred prior to? Because the attack on Christopher Whiteley happened in early December 4th. And
I'm thinking he said maybe around October or November they caught this thing on camera.
Okay.
Because I guess there were people in the area was reporting they were seeing things running around. So of course his responsibility is to go investigate, and I got a feeling they knew what it was. But I mean, if they went to that extreme to go on a boat with a electric trolling motor and have cameras prepared, ready to go, I got a feeling they knew possibly what it was anyway. I mean, that's my theory.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, just because they play dumb with us doesn't mean they're dumb. In general, I mean, they play dumb on TV and on newspaper articles, but they know what's going on. And the photographic evidence, I wish there was, one day, hopefully there'll be a disclosure where we can see that stuff, but I don't know how far along we are to getting it. So.
Right. I mean, my close friend of mine did call me 2 days ago, and I need to call him back. But, real close to the friends of the family. But I would attempt. Maybe since they're real close, and my friend's an ex-Marine, and maybe you can get something from them. I don't know, maybe some imaging or what, because they're pretty good friends. And like I say, he knew my friend believed in him, and he was raised knowing about these things existing.
Right. Yeah, that would be decent. I mean, no pressure, but I think it would actually, and I've been saying it about all of these attacks, I believe the attacks on these people, on people in general, I think they would slow down a little bit if the local, state, and federal government just honestly were honest with us and said, hey, there are things out there. Be careful, because we go out in the woods, people who don't believe in this stuff, people who don't think there is something like that out in the woods, they go out in the woods carefree. I mean, yeah, the woods are meant to enjoy, but you've got to have some precaution when you're going out there as well.
Oh, definitely, especially when I was out there in Colorado and we go camping and you know there's things that exist, but you don't see them. But they're so stealthy, they can sneak up on you. And I know, and they're out there, and people know things exist, but you don't see them.
Right. Yeah. Now, you said you've got some information or some encounters around your area that you wanted to share with us as well.
Yes, sir. Yeah, sure do.
All right.
Okay, let me start out the first one. Because growing up, I know that some things exist out there, seeing other things. My personal encounter was in the 70s, and we had a farm down South Texas, and us kids were at home by ourselves. I don't know why, but we're home by ourselves, and we had two homes on the property. Anyway, but two houses on the property, and my sister and my parents lived in one, and me and my brother lived in one little house. Anyway, we were home, and we had a German Shepherd. We had a couple of dogs, and we had animals and all that. Anyway, one towards the evening, I hear my sister screaming murder. I'm inside the house, they're outside. And I hear them scream murder. Hey, like something's attacking her, and I hear our German Shepherd going crazy. So my mind's thinking that the German Shepherd turned on her and attacked her, right?
Right.
That's what I'm thinking. Oh man, So I grabbed the shotgun and I start running outside. Well, the middle sister and the eldest sister are running in, and I'm running down with a shotgun, and of course they're running in, and I see the German Shepherd going crazy outside, barking at something. Anyway, my concern, I stepped outside and came back with my sister to make sure she was all right, see what's going on. And she was saying that a giant bird tried to pick her up. I said, okay. A giant bird tried to pick you up, okay. And then my eldest sister was behind her, and I asked her, well, did you see it? And she goes, no, I did not see it, because I was looking down and I saw the shadow on the ground. And I was running for my life. Like I heard her screaming, and I said it, and then they tried to pick her up, and we just ran inside the house. So, okay. Me being the oldest, and I said, okay, you saw something, okay. We had a encyclopedia, World Atlas Encyclopedia back then in the 70s. This had to be 1978 this happened.
Okay.
And so I picked up the books, and then I went to the birds, and asked her to point out the bird was trying to pick you up. And she pointed out the prehistoric bird, and I believe it was a pterodactyl. And she pointed out that bird. This is no, brother. She swore up and down. And I think she was only 13 then, years old. And she pointed, no, it was that bird. Okay, so be it. We left it alone. Okay, that bird tried to pick you up. That's the bird you pointed out. Okay, we left it alone. Well, now go ahead.
No, I laughed about that because. It's just, you're in your view, you're probably like, yeah, pterodactyl went and picked you up,
Right. Now, 3 years ago, we're together for the holidays. And, and now since I'm getting more into the cryptid stuff and things going on, I'm an adult. And I did research, because I was DOD at China Mountain Air Force Station. And I had a co-worker with me, and he mentioned about the Thunderbird in upstate New York. Anyway, we had clearance, and we pulled out information, and government had information investigated on these birds. So now I'm thinking of my sister. Well, she probably was telling me the truth. I never denied say she was making it up. It was just, wow, okay, that bird, I was really surprised. Anyway, now, a few years later, the years will pass. 3 years ago, we're adults now. And I'd sit down with my sister. I wanted to ask you again, that you still say that bird tried to pick you up, brother. I'm telling you, that was that bird. I ain't like making it up. That was that bird trying to pick me up. I said, okay. And we left it like that. That was my personal first encounter with my family.
Right.
Dealing with that. Now, later in life, I have friends that have seen Sasquatch, Bigfoot in Colorado, in the state of Washington. Anyway, I started getting into it, you know. Now I'm older, getting close to retired, so I started digging into more information. And and this was the first time, I believe it was your podcast or somebody's show, I heard about Dogman. You know, right? And I really started getting really interested about Dogman, and I asked my dad, you ever heard it? And he goes, yeah, his dad used to tell him they used to see stuff in Texas, a giant wolf. You know, matter of fact, my dad was talking about it this morning. Yeah, that his dad, you know, he used to walk a lot. His dad used to walk a lot in Texas, you know. And back then, it was more wilderness back then, you know.
Right.
And he's seen things, and he talk about it. And then, you know, that's the first time my dad even started opening up, because I've been more into it now. I only listen to the radio. I listen to your show and other people's show, and Dad's listened to it, and he brings it up. Like, he's listening to the show. Yeah. And I remember my dad was telling me stuff like that, and back then, when neighborhood, now that's insane. And in his neighborhood, you know, it was all wilderness, or it was more before San Antonio grew. But he told me that he's seen giant wolves running around, but he didn't think it was a dog man. It was more like wolf-like, that he used to see things.
Right.
And I remember, and we had a property down, like I said, when we had that farm there, and I remember sitting down one evening, and when our property went up a hill on an incline, and then every night I used to see birds drop down, catch snakes, you know, wildlife. As a matter of fact, I wanted to find out a baby owl that I started raising, but one evening I see a black panther walk across our property. And that's rare, you know what I mean? And I was shocked to see that. But now, up to date, now, since I'm really into it, I have my own business, and I have my handy business. I do a lot of remodeling. Anyway, I was in, I heard somebody's cast, there's been reported, I don't know how long ago, they reported a dogman running around Kerrville, Texas. Okay. Anyway, I was doing a job on the border of Kerrville and Fredericksburg, Texas. They're right here in the hill country, not too far from here, about an hour. And I'm laying out utilities, you know, plumbing, electrical, underground, for a customer. Anyway, you know me now, I don't hold back. I ask customers, have you heard anything, seen anything? Well, I asked the parents, they were retired, they were moving on to their son's property. And of course, they didn't hear nothing. They're from the city. Well, I was talking to the daughter-in-law. They own the property. The son owns the property, their son. But I was talking to the daughter-in-law. Hey, have you heard anything out here? Well, lo and behold, she's talking to her husband. He's Special Forces. She's a ranger. And he's out right now out in the field. She's talking to him on video chat or Snapchat, but it's a video chat. Of course, she laughed when I asked her, and she's talking to him. You ever heard of it? You know, make a joke of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, you hear him say, "Yes, I have." And his wife paused, right? His wife paused because he said, "Yes, I have heard of it." Okay, and that was the end of it. That was the end of the conversation. Anyway, I was finishing up the job, and lo and behold, the parents, I guess the son started telling because the parents were moving on this property, and I guess he told his parents about what's going on in that area. You know, because I guess they might have made fun about it. He goes, no, they're real. He was saying there's a ranch out there in Fredericksburg that there's two of them running around killing livestock, sheep and stuff out there, sheep and goats right now, up there in Fredericksburg. Well, I got excited when I heard, okay, you know, what I'm hearing, that was my first customers or people have talked, and they have what's going on in that area. Okay, so be it. Well, the next encounters that people have talked to me about was I was out here at a local bar and grill here in town, and I ran into a fellow native because I'm an Elite Panda Apache, and we're the indigenous people up in Medina, Texas. But anyway, I was talking to a fellow Apache, and I talked, hey man, have you heard anything about it? And he goes, as a matter of fact, you know what? He said, you need to talk to my daughter. I said, okay. Well, his daughter came in was her husband, and her husband is the president of a biker group that helps with funds, raise funds for needy people and all that. But it's a biker group here in Medina. Anyway, I started talking to, hey, your dad said you might have seen something. And he goes, yes, I did. He said, my husband makes fun of me, laughs at me, that I was imagining things. And then I asked him, well, did it look like this? I described a Dogman. He goes, yes, it did. She was working second shift in Hondo, Texas. And 173 runs from, north to south to Hondo, Texas, all the way to Kerrville, all the way to Fredericksburg. Anyway, she worked third shift, Verde Creek. And, there's, two creek, and there's one with a deep ravine.
Okay.
Well, where the deep ravine, and she told me specifically where it was. She said, you hit Medina County going towards Hondo, and you travel, I think, 5 miles, 5 miles, I think she said, and then there's going to be that rear. Well, when I was coming from Hondo heading home to Medina at that 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, she said she saw this thing on the side of the road because out here we have a lot of deers, axis deers. We have a lot of deers. Personally, I live out here. I already hit 2 of them. We got so many of them out here. You got to watch out. There's so many out here. And then I can understand why they're out here. There's so much game, hogs. There's plenty of food for them to eat. Anyway, when she said she was driving, coming home, she saw this thing squatting down and had its hands upward, eating the deer. Okay, when she hit the side of the road, the light hit it, she saw that. And of course, you hear the story that it's hard to process their mind. What is this? This ain't real. It looks like a werewolf. You heard so many people talk about this. They can't process it. Right? Anyway, she was telling me, and her husband's there, and I told her husband, all these things do exist. He kind of threw a little smirk, but she was relieved to talk to somebody about it because all this time her husband made fun of her, and she told her dad, but now she was relieved that no, you weren't seeing things. These things exist. These do exist.
Yeah, it's like clarification. When I had my encounter, it was almost like, my brain couldn't fathom what I was seeing, and we had seen, it was me and my friends, and we had seen it come out of the woods. I couldn't imagine seeing one, actually having prey in its hands and eating. That's insane.
I know it is. That's what she freaked out. But she said, and then she noticed the head was so big, and of course in her mind, everybody said it's a werewolf.
Right.
But it's not a werewolf. I'm not seeing this thing. That's what she was telling me. And now every day when I see her, she gives me a hug in town, and because she talked about it. Okay, that was her incident. Anyway, and that was it. And then of course her husband, they had to do their thing. And then I ran into him again, and she told me, Nick, a co-worker, I think a month later, I don't know how much time has lapsed when she saw her sighting, her encounter, her co-worker was coming because they worked the same shift. I think they rotate shift, but now she was working that shift, and she lives in town too. She was heading back home around the same time, and she ran in the same area where Verde Creek runs across because it's a deep creek, a big ravine. I personally gone out there 2 in the morning to look, and I have gone during the day, and there's a lot of game trails, heavy game trail. Well, it makes sense what she's saying, right? And it's a perfect way for them to run and hide into that creek bed, and nobody will see them. It's a hill country. You look it up where I live in Medina area. It's a hill country. It's you got forests. I mean forests and ranches out here, 2,000 acres, and big ranches out here that you see. I mean, we got so much wildlife that there's plenty of food. But anyway, her friend was driving at the same area, close to the same time, and saw it running across the highway, 173. And along the same mile marker, she was telling me. And she saw the same thing. So, but it was running across the highway. Okay, that's one friend of mine that lives here in town. Then I have another one down the road from me. Before I say anything about that, I have sensors, motion sensors, and before I start putting cameras, I have gone in my shop, my sensor goes off. And I have gone out there quite a few times, like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. But one night, I went out there, everything was quiet. And of course, I carry my 357 Magnum with me. And I'm out here, I live on the mouth of the lake, Lake Medina. I live in the mouth of it. Okay, so, I mean, and I walked down, and this time, it just didn't feel right. It did not feel right. Something wasn't right. And I started getting the heebie-jeebies, and something's not right. So I went back in. Okay, so be it. That was my deal. But I got some neighbors down the road. Okay. I live in a cul-de-sac. And we talk with one. And one day I just, hey, man, have you seen it? He goes, Nick, I have. I'm telling you right now, I have seen it. Because he lives on waterfront. I live across the street from waterfront. But his property is waterfront. But now the lake is down. But he said that he came out for some reason about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. And he heard something. He smelled something. Man, something smells. What's going on? Skunk or something, right? And lo and behold, he sees this thing standing up behind a tree. Right? And then he's looking at it. And it's like picking around the tree, looking at him. And he goes, and he froze. What the heck?
Yeah.
What's this? He said, what the heck am I looking at? So he takes off towards his house to grab his phone and his gun, so he can, maybe I can get a picture of this thing, right? Because nobody gonna believe me. Right. Well, as soon as he did that thing took off running, and there's a branch. You cross the street, and where he's waterfront, and you're heading west across the road, and there's some empty lots, and then it goes down to a branch of the lake, of course, it's dry, and that branch kind of hits in front of my shop. Well, that thing ran across and took off running. He saw it. Okay. And then, and anyway, and then he was telling me on that. And then I went back some other time, and there was a guy there too. And another guy, he was telling him that, hey, I told Nick what I saw. Why don't you tell him what you saw? The guy told him, okay. He said, Nick, on the same property, because like I said, the entrance is dry now, It's like a hill country, it's just like a mini mountain. On the other side, there's a slight cliff, incline, like rocks and like a cliff. And there's houses on that side. Well, when he said he saw it running across that the dry area where the lake runs in, and it's running up that incline, and it's number of rocks, like a mountain, a mini mountain. Right. And he said at first he thought he was looking at a hog, and then he thought he was looking at of course it couldn't be a bear, there's no bear out there. He said, man, but a hog don't run like that. And then he was looking at the way it ran, and then when he was reaching with its arm forward, he saw that thing just sprinted up that hill, and that's what freaked him out. That thing moved so quick going up that incline that, an animal that big moving that fast up that incline, they said, that's when he saw it, and he only saw it, man, it looked like a giant wolf. At first he thought it was a hog, but a hog can't run up there. Anyway, he still can't understand what he saw. But the other guy, the guy that's told you they ran across, he saw that, yeah, it had a wolf head, big old wolf head. He described it. Okay, that's my neighbor down the road. Okay. Just recently.
Right.
Just recently, about a month ago, I'm doing another job, but now I'm figuring out that it's a pathway, because 173 is where I live on the west side of the lake, and I do a lot of work on the east side of the lake.
Okay.
Well, okay, in the east side of the lake and towards heading south, there's where the dam is, right? So you stand there where I did the work at, where this other customer ran into an encounter of 3 of them. I'm about to tell you a story, but now it's making sense, because I think they take a path along that, they go east to west.
Right.
And right along there, and it makes sense, because people are consistent seeing it that way. And then you cross the front of the dam gorge, and you wind up crossing 173. So it makes sense. In my mind, I'm trying to figure, okay, how are these things moving? Migrating or what, or
Right.
hunting, right? And that's what's causing in my mind. I'm trying to figure it out. Anyway.
Well, like you said in the beginning, you figured it out because, just like humans, we use roads and throughways as our, transportation. They use creek beds or river beds.
Right.
It's easy traveling for them. There's usually along a riverbed or a creek bed, there's usually some sort of shelter, whether it be knocked down trees or caves or whatever. Food is easily accessible, and they can travel at night, even in the day, without really being seen, because how many people, minus the fishermen, but I mean, honestly, how many people are even driving by a creek bed are looking down there, or
Right,
looking
exactly.
on the side of a river or anything. You're just driving because you're paying attention to what your life is now, so that's a perfect place for them to travel. They're safe. They have food, water, and shelter access, and they can just go.
Right, and then into the way that these creeks or dry beds are set up is that in the hill countries are like mini mountains, right? Hills, and you got thick forests or thick thickets, or you want to call it trees or forests, going down those valleys, and then they travel through those valleys and then go through the creek bed. Well, there's the next one, another customer of mine. I'm doing a job right here in Michael, Texas, just to the other side of me. You got to go like it's about a 45-minute drive going around the lake, going towards that area. It's heavy, wooded, hill country. Anyway, I'm doing work for the elderly couple, doing some repair, remodeling, and their son lives across the street. Well, the parents have 25 acres on that side, and I imagine, I think the son has same amount or more on the other side, but across the street. Anyway, I'm doing repairs, and his son called me, hey, why don't you give me an estimate to do some work at my home? Well, he has a yard, and then all of a sudden it drops down the hill. I mean, it really drops, and it goes down to a valley. And far down the valley, he has a deer feeder, feeding with corn, way down there. He said about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, he has a balcony, overseeing, because he has a balcony. His yard's probably, say about maybe 20 yards, and then there's a fence, and then the drop off on the hill. Okay. Well, and I was doing the estimate, and of course my cousin was the one, makes fun of me, right? I told him, hey man, of course I start the conversation. Have you seen anything strange out here or anything? He goes, as a matter of fact, I do. I have. Matter of fact, I was out letting my dog out. I don't know why. I think it's the witching hour, 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. Here, that's like, I think it's the witching hour for these things to come out. I don't know why. Yeah. Anyway, he was telling me he took the dog out to, out to use the restroom out there. And he hears something out down the valley where he's being. He hears like 3 of them communicating with each other, making noises, right? Well, he said he was thinking it was Bigfoot, okay?
Okay.
All right. And I said, why do you think it was Bigfoot? And I asked him, because he has a friend somewhere upstate somewhere. There's a Bigfoot researcher. I didn't get the name of his friend. He said, but he right there, that moment, he makes a phone call, right? Because I guess his friends heard him how they communicate or the sounds they make, right? According to him, that's what his friend knows what kind of sounds they make, the Bigfoot make. So he made the phone call. He said, man, I didn't get him right away. And I redialed and called him, and he finally answered. And I put my phone out. Listen to this. Do you hear that? Do you hear that? And then he just friend said, well, I don't think there's Bigfoot, but they're talking to each other, that's for sure, right? And then, well, he's thinking, after the encounter, he was thinking those three of them were pushing deer down towards that valley so they could ambush them. And said they sound like they were, because he's ex-military too. He said the way they were working together, they were like pushing maybe a small herd down that way so they can ambush them in the valley. Anyway, what he said while he was talking to his friend on the phone, he heard something, right there by his fence line. There's a big, like I said, it drops off right away, right there down the hill. But there's a tree right there, the other side of the fence, tall tree. And he sees these amber glowing eyes, right? And he's thinking, at first his mind crosses, oh, it's an owl, right?
Yeah.
He's thinking it's an owl. And he starts looking at it. No, the eyes were too spread out. And then he's looking at it, and then it made a small gurgling growl, and it took off, right? Anyway, the next morning he went out there, and where he saw the eyes, and he measured the tree, and where the eyes are, he was looking, it was like 8 foot, 8.5 to 9 feet tall.
Wow.
Yeah. You know what? I didn't ask him because I had to go back to work. I should have to check for footprints. I didn't ask. I should have told him to check for footprints. I doubt it because it's hill country, it's all rock, caliche rock, it's hard stuff. So you could see anything out here anyway because we live in the hill country. But yeah, you were telling me that, and then I have another customer, almost the same area, a little north of that area. But this one, she kind of laughed it off a little bit. Mm-hmm. I asked her to, hey, because she has a lot of property. And I've been doing like 3 different, phases of her project. And one day I asked her, hey, have you seen it? He goes, Nick, I have. There's something's going on my property. And I said, what's going on? And he goes, well, I thought it might have been a hog. Well, there was some fecal matter, and it was so big. And she grew up in there. She could tell the different hogs and different, of course you could tell different deer and all that. But the way the fecal matter was laid, she said, man, it puzzled her so bad. And then she walked along the fence line to see if a hog got underneath or busted the gate and a fence. Nothing, no evidence or nothing. Mm-hmm. And well, there's no rooting. Usually you have hogs, they root in the ground, digging up the ground. Yeah. So she, on her own, she said that, and they never got back with her. She personally called Division of Game and Wildlife. That's how it bothered her that much. She called them to come and look at it. So now she's waiting for them to get back what it is,
Yeah. Now, all of these are around this very, in this one area around the lake, right?
Right. All this area around this lake, all this happening, except Fredericksburg.
Right.
Fredericksburg's up north. Fredericksburg, for me, is about an hour away.
Okay.
But it's still up north, hill country, because you hear, the reason I got interested is because I was hearing people seeing things. Of course, somebody else have another podcast. They see stuff around Travis Lake. Well, I heard they have traveled eastward towards Killeen, Fort Hood, east of that area, and that's the reason I got into it, because I got interested into them because I've been hearing sightings in the area, and I get multiple sightings. Of course, along that corridor, it's all hill countries, and where the Hood County, you follow the corridor 281, and 281 drops down, and you hit Granbury, and of course, the place that young man got killed, it's I know you call it something else, but it's Lipan or Lipan. Texas, because I'm a Lipan or Lipan Apache.
Yeah,
that's what the name of the area.
Hood County, Lipan, Texas.
Right, yeah, Hood County.
Yep.
And I'll drive through when I go visit my good friend of mine or family member. I drive through there, and it's all hill country. That's the old Chisholm Trail area.
Yeah,
it's all wilderness. It's all wilderness.
Yeah, it's definitely. Yeah, when I was first researching the case of Christopher Whiteley, I pulled up satellite images of the area, and it's a perfect area for any large predator to roam around and not be seen. Whether it be, a mountain lion or a dogman or a Sasquatch, it's a very easily for them to navigate through. Not so easy for a human, but easy for them to.
Well, like I said, out here, there's so much wildlife, game, and everything. And then going towards with those other sightings like Hondo and that area, I was telling you, towards that area, 1283, on the other side of the lake. And then 1203 curves out, hits us towards San Antonio. I personally have driven through there. And I'm serious, Jeff, that when I'm driving, there's a couple of times I thought somebody dumped the love seat on the side of the road, right?
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's crazy. They dumped the love seat. You know what it was? It was a dang hog. And the hogs are that big out here. And so, man, there's plenty of food out here for them. Yeah. The hogs, they have a problem that side of the lake and then heading towards Kerrville. They're having problems with hogs, and now they're getting closer around the community, but they have a problem with hogs. I'm telling you, these things out here grow, and then you got the regular white-tailed deer running around.
Right.
And then once upon a time, we got a lot of high fences here. They have these exotic animals and all that. And when there was a big ranch out here, they tore it down. They were building homes. Well, they let access deer. And access deer, anybody can hunt all year round because they're not domestic deer.
Right.
And those things get big. And there's a lot of those here. And like I said, there's so many out here. I'm careful, and I got a big brush gun on my truck. I have hit 2 deers already. And then my friend that I've known since junior high, he retired out here. I felt bad for him. He had no, he messed up his trucks, both of his trucks that he hit 2 of them. There's so many out here. You got to be careful. Just even going down my road, you got to drive 5 miles per hour, even though it's 30. But you got to watch, especially towards the evening, the morning.
Yeah.
And what's funny too? I have been gone out late, and I come around that witching hour. They're running like crazy around here around that time.
Yeah, it's perfect hunting area, perfect hunting time too. And that makes sense when you said that you're one of your guys that you're doing a job for said that he saw a dogman almost 8-9 feet.
Yeah.
There's plenty of food. Well, if you've got lots of food, what are you going to do? You're just going to continuously eat, continuously hunt, and grow bigger and bigger, Well,
it was amazing that he said that when he was out there, the way they were communicating with him, and the way they were pushing down the herd towards the valley. So, and he told me that. I didn't say nothing. He said, no, I think that what they're doing, they're pushing the small herd of deer to ambush them right there in the valley right there, and to show you how intelligent these things are.
Yeah. Well, I've heard. I'm very good friends with Dark Waters, and he and I have had conversations about them migrating. He believes that they migrate south, and we were talking about a case where hunters. They'll go out and hunt, in Oklahoma, Texas, wherever. And one year there's an abundance of deer. And then the next year there's not so many. But then the next year there is. And he and I were talking, and we believe that they are so intelligent that they can actually herd their own food, drive their food south with them so they don't have to, really hunt on unknown lands. If they're going south towards Mexico, South America that way, they'll herd their deer with them hunt them there, and then the population dwindles, but then the next year when they come back, it booms again.
Right.
So
well, I've been here almost 9 years, and I know the axis deer, it kind of migrates in like big herds at a time, but the whitetails are always here. And and that's what you're saying. I think about that too. If the population is being depleted here, and I don't see that. And that's the thing. There's so many out here. Now, since this has been going on, I personally, because remember that time that I told you I went out to check on my shop, the motion sensor went off inside.
Yeah.
And I got the heebie-jeebie. Now I'm running cameras all the way around my house.
Yeah.
So hoping to maybe catch that, because according to the one that ran across, I'm telling you that neighbor, he's probably, I think what the Dogman ran across is like, I say about 200 or 300 yards from me. So, and then of course, like 75 yards from me. But when the Dogman ran across that way. And see, a lot of times it makes sense, because when the lakes are dry, this is the second time the lake went down. You see the herds of deers and axes run towards that area. I guess to drink water and all that. Of course, that fresh vegetation now, it's not underwater.
Right.
And they migrate down towards that water. Well, that's where that Dogman's running across.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense, man.
I'm telling you about that now. And then I have my daughter. I personally, I have my daughter. She does shirts and stuff for my business. And I told her, hey, I want you to make me one that says Dogman Researcher, right? Because I like to wear it, and it goes in the dark at night. But when I go out in town, I want to wear it, see if anybody asks questions. Something to start the conversation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the girl, that first person that I spoke to that had that encounter, that Dogman was squatting down eating that deer on the side of the road, she wants a shirt. Oh, give me one of those. But I'm telling you, she's a different person, because now she's happy that she let it out and that somebody believes her. Her husband still kind of shake his head,
Yeah.
No, dude, I said, you know what? You're out there riding a bike. You know what? I don't wish you harm, but I hope one of these, because your wife, poor wife, you're making farm. And she said she was having nightmares too. She was having nightmares. And I felt bad for her. But now, like I said, she sees me and hugs me. Oh, and hey, how you doing?
Yeah, it makes a difference when you've got someone that will listen and believes you, because we're told that they don't exist. And once someone believes you, it's a huge difference. It's actually, it gives you clarity. It's clarification. Hey, this person saw it. Oh my God, there's someone else that, is like me. So
right.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Well, I have another neighbor here. Man, I still kind of question him a little bit. And when he was going towards Kerrville, he was living out there. And he said at 3 a.m, he went out. I don't know why he went out, but he went out and he saw this thing squatted down. They got up, but but now I kind of question him. I tease him, were you high or something? Now I'm questioning. He said he saw a Bigfoot, and he stood there for 3 or 5 minutes watching it walk away.
Right.
But him, I've never heard any Bigfoot out here. That he said it was a Bigfoot, but I still question his.
It could have been misidentification.
Right.
That's a big thing. You can't question somebody if they're telling you that they saw something, because
right.
You weren't there.
Right. Yeah, you're right. I'm wrong. I'm bad. You're right. Yeah.
And it could have been misidentification. He could have, maybe he didn't see the front of it. Maybe
right.
He was looking at the back of a large Dogman walking away from him. And, people who don't know about Dogman may have been a misidentification. I mean, Tim Coonbo Baker misidentified Dogman for 15 years before he even realized that, holy cow, this is what people are seeing. Went back into his old files and realized that, back in the late 70s, early 80s, people were seeing these dogmen, and he was classifying them as a squatch. So,
right.
I mean, it sounds to me that around this lake is a hot spot in Texas, and it's a perfect area.
Oh, yeah.
So.
There's one thing I have noticed. Matter of fact, I see deer running around right now, right here behind my property right now. There's so many of them right now. I see. But you know what I have noticed? I don't know if it's a coincidence or not. I don't know. Maybe I'm putting too much into it. When I first moved out here, there were so many feral cats, wildcats running around.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we got mountain lions out here in this area, and because when I was a kid in Gardner State Park, it's like 45 minutes to an hour west of me. And when I was a kid, that was the first time in the 70s I saw a cougar mountain lion. And then of course they catch them around the lake and game camps, mountain lions, and then I finally saw a bobcat out in the wild 3 years ago, and that was the last time I seen it out in the wild. But I seen one. But when I was saying that, when I first moved, there was tons of feral cats. There's so many feral cats that another county has a grant for our county for feral cats. So they spade them. They put a chip, tracking device to keep track of these feral cats. So I had 2 of them. And you used to see them everywhere around here.
Right.
Now you don't hardly see none of them.
No, there's none. Yeah. That's the biggest sign right there is lack of a small, that's easy pickings.
Right.
So.
I mean, I'm not making it up. I'm telling you, there were so many that I had a a feral cat left here, and then I wound up adopting one.
Right.
And then anyway. And then I found another one about 3 or 4 months later. It's like almost the same area, but it was by itself. Like I said, on the female, they get them fixed. They put a chip. On the male, the second one was a male, so they put a chip, fix them, and they clip one of the ears. That's how they keep records of them.
Right. Yeah.
And but like I said, there used to be a lot of them. And when I first moved out here, there was a lot of them. You don't hardly see any of them.
Yeah, that's definitely first sign that something's big. And I mean, obviously you've got a lot of clientele around you and people around you that have seen them. It's crazy.
Yeah. And then and also, like I know we have the eagles out here, and you hardly see them, but they exist out here. They call them, I forgot the proper name, but out here they call them the Mexican eagle. It looks like almost like a bald eagle with a mohawk. And they're out here. They're out here, and then when you do see them, you see quite a few of them. It's like, it's sporadic. You see them here, once in a while, but they're out here. That's like I said, these birds out here, and I don't hardly see them, but they're out here. But and I get excited to them because I think they're cool looking birds,
Right. Yeah. It's the same way with just because you don't see them doesn't mean they're out there, So, Nick, I'm coming up on time right now. I'm coming up on recording time. We're about an hour into this.
Okay.
So we're gonna have to cut the interview. Don't hang up when we end the interview. I appreciate you coming on and sharing the information with us.
No problem.
And if you hear anything more from your friend or your family there, please keep me in line with that so I can give updates on that, because
yes, sir.
The Hood County one means a lot to me. I've been researching that case for a while now, and I just I really want someone to say, hey, we do know what it is, and then just leave it at that. I mean, you don't have to tell us what it is, just say we know, so. But
well, you know how it is. You know how it is with the government. They keep quiet.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything that you'd like to say before we end the interview?
No, like I said, yes, I do. I mean, I sure appreciate you listening to me, and I do listen to your show. I really enjoy your show and all these other encounters that people are talking about. And like I said, I use an example, especially for that poor lady that witnessed that one in Saturday Road. I mentioned, I mean, you're welcome to talk to, but I guess she doesn't want to talk to nobody,
Yeah, no, I mean, if you know anybody that is willing to come on, I mean, my phone is always open, and it's just a platform for people to share their encounters. So,
yes, sir.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, and have a good evening. All right.
You too now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alright. These guys are playing on some tubes. Don't ask me why.
What's that? Right over there.
What?
What is that there? Whoa, what the heck?
Dude, I don't... What?
What is that?
I'm not seeing it. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god, what is that? What is that thing? This is history right here. Don't tell me that's a Yeti.
Oh, right on the road right there. Wait, get on camera. Get on camera.
You said you had some updates, but for those people who are not familiar with your experience and who you are, do you want to kind of fill in that gap? I'll turn the mic over to you and you can fill in that and then jump onto the updates however you want to do it. The mic is yours, my friend.
Alrighty, thank you. Yes, the encounters out here where I live at, in the past, we have around this hill country, we had quite a few encounters out here. One off the highway, one dogman squatted down eating a roe-killed deer, and then a month later, same area, one was caught seen running across the highway. And also, I mentioned I have my own business, and I have a couple of customers that mentioned they have some encounters with the Dogman, and one person mistakenly there, he was thinking they were Bigfoot. He had three of them come along his fence property. He owns 25 acres, and he has a deer feeder down the valley where he lives at. And that's where he heard three of them and seen one on the fence line, and he was thinking it was an owl because it was high on the tree, and until he growled to him and it took off, and then he realized it was he didn't know really what it was at first, a creature, something he thought he was thinking it was Bigfoot, but of course the way he made sounds, and it didn't sound like a Bigfoot according to his friend, and his friend's a Bigfoot researcher.
Okay.
Anyway, and then of course also I had another customer that he special forces, knowing the Fredericksburg and Kerrville area, that he knew there was two of them running around the ranches out there, and of course there's a lot of activity where I live at. And of course I have another customer
with that guy, the guy in the special forces. What did he say? Like, what was going on? Like, how did he?
Well, the way we got into the subject, well, I never talked to him in person.
Okay.
What it was, I ask questions. I'm not afraid to ask questions, especially out here. I think there were a few, maybe 5-6 years ago, I heard there was a report in Kerrville.
Okay.
Well, I'm working on the border of Kerrville. While I was working on this property, his parents moved in the property. I was laying utilities. Anyway, the way his wife came out, and I asked her. Well, I asked the parents. Well, the parents are originally from the city, and they're retiring on the country. I asked the wife. When I asked the wife, she kind of giggled. But when I asked her, she had her husband on a video chat or video. She's talking on video on the phone. And when I asked her, she asked him, "Hey, have you heard anything?" And he said, "Yes," and that was it. Well, when I was finishing up the job, the parents, the father of the son, told me that his son told him that he's known there's two of them running in Fredericksburg, they have killed. I guess the farmer had sheep, and they have killed some sheep, but they knew there was 2 of them running around in that area, right there by where he lives at.
Okay.
So that's how I wonder if him personally. Like I only saw him on the phone on the screen. He was out in the field when she was talking to him.
Right.
And like I said, his wife was making fun, and he was serious. No, there's 2 of them running around this area. And then of course, I want to bring some updates about that area. I want to bring you some updates of the gentleman that had 3 of them running at his property.
Yeah.
And some other updates. But just to bring everybody up to speed, this is the area I mentioned around this lake where I live at. And of course, I mentioned that the captain of the Division of Game and Wildlife, Hood County, the month prior for that, I forgot the gentleman's name that was killed.
Christopher Whiteley.
Yeah,
yep. That
gentleman. Well, the captain's a good friend of our family. You know what? I don't mind telling you who it is. You don't mind. It was my father-in-law's friend.
Okay.
And he mentioned that the captain told him, because they're good friends, my father-in-law's a retired Marine, they actually caught it on camera while they were patrolling, investigating, and hearing that there had been sightings of this dogman running around, and they caught it on video on a river, Brazil River, at night. And a month later, after that incident, they caught it on video. Well, the incident of that young man get killed. So I hope that I'm bringing up to date. Bringing that's what I spoke about last time, what happened, and then. Of course, I have a little update of that too, also.
Okay.
I don't know that. Hope that brings people up to speed on the first interview I had with you, and I can always I'll go ahead and bring you some updates now if you want.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Okay. All right. The first update. I want to say the oldest to now. The first one, I did talk to my father-in-law, and he confirmed also that the game warden saw it also. But he said, but he's not really a good friend of the game warden, but since they're associated with the Division of Wildlife, but the game warden said that when he saw it, he was terrified. He got scared when he actually saw it.
And this is the creature that was spotted in Hood County, Lipin, Texas area.
Right. Okay. Correct.
Okay.
And I don't know. I didn't ask a specific or the time span when the captain, when they caught it on video, and then the time span. I don't know how was the time between those two visuals. But the game warden actually saw. He said he actually saw it. It scared him. He said. Okay. Okay. And then the other update.
Did your father-in-law's friend, or you're talking to him, or is this through your father-in-law?
No, yeah, through my father-in-law, okay. Yes.
Did he give your father-in-law like a description of what it looked like, or just it was very brief about it?
Just brief, but my father-in-law, like I mentioned, my father-in-law, he's Alabama Kachana, but he grew up knowing these things in Alabama, and of course they call it Lurugaru. He knows it by that name.
Okay.
So he knows what they look like, But he said it was, canine wolf, like a werewolf. That's how they describe it,
Right.
But he didn't get no detail because he knows. I know about him, so he didn't really broke down telling me by detail in the description because I already know what they look like. He knows what they look like because his grandmother, the native, was teaching him not to go out in the woods at night because these things are out there.
Right. Yeah.
So
no, I just meant what the description of the one that if it was a large what they saw.
What size? Yeah. That's funny. I never asked how tall it was or anything.
And how did they get the video? Like what's the video from? Was it in the car or what was it?
No. Well, like the first interview, what happened was they got reports. People were reporting they're seeing something out there.
Okay.
Wolf-like creature, bipedal. They were getting reports out there. And, well, of course, you and I know that usually the government entities, especially the Division of Wildlife, there's protocols. They know these things exist. They say, they ain't going to say much about it, but I know they know these things exist. So what they did, they took out a boat on the river because they were seeing this thing spotted in that area around the river. And so what they did, they took a boat at night, had cameras around the boat and spotlights. Instead of running a regular gasoline motor, they ran a trolling motor real quiet in the water. So they trolling in the water real quiet, and they heard something on the bank. Well, when they heard something, and what they did, they turned on the spotlight while the cameras were running all the time. They were running, recording.
Okay.
And when they turned on the spotlights, they caught it on camera. So they caught it on camera, and that's what and like I said, it was a coincidence. Well, it was a shame what happened, and what they knew was out there. But I guess they're just investigating because there were sightings. So I'm thinking they're just investigating until that incident happened. They killed the gentleman in Hood County.
Yeah.
And so from that point on, I haven't heard anything. If they eliminated it or they hunted it down, I don't know. I don't know anything after that. Most likely, I got a feeling they did. Hunted it down. But that's the update on that. Just a game warden also seen it, and it scared them.
Okay.
And then from there, the other update, that gentleman that had the property across his parents that I was doing work for, and I did an estimate, and that's how we got in the conversation that 2:30 in the morning, I took this dog out in the backyard to use the restroom, and heard something going on, like three different heard three things running around and making sounds. But at 2:30 in the morning, like I said, he has a friend that I never asked him where his friend lived or what was his name, but his friend is a Bigfoot researcher. And he called him up at 2:30 in the morning because they kind of, he was thinking of the way they were moving and making sounds, he was thinking they were Bigfoot. And so he called his friend, he tapped once, he didn't answer. So he called back, and the second time, when he called back the second time, he got a hold of him. And during that moment, when he got his friend on the phone, I guess he was dialing and trying to get a hold of him. When he started talking, that Dogman came along on his fence line. Well, the way his fence has, he has his fence, his yards of maybe, let's say 20 or 30 yards. Let's say 20 yards out, and then there's a fence, and it drops down to a ravine to the valley while they were pushing the deer down the valley to ambush them. But when he got his friend on the phone, the next he looked, he saw amber eye shine on the tree, but next to the tree. And his first thought was an owl.
Right.
Right, and of course the eyes were too spread or too far apart. And when he told his friend, listen, well, when he said his friend, listen, that thing growled at him. And all of a sudden it took off. So that next morning, he measured, and I think he was measuring around between 8 or 9 feet tall. What he measured where the eyes were. Okay. That's the first incident that he told me about. The guy asked him, and he goes, I asked him, have you heard it? Because I know what was going on. Those two that ran on the highway. And then my theory is they're running east to west along that valley. Well, that's the other side of the lake where I live at. Well, that's where he lives, the other side, along that valley. So, I think a month after I spoke to him about that, I went back. I finished the job. His parents sold the house. I was dropping off some special order shutters. So I just dropped them off because let the new homeowners install them. Well, while I was there, while the parents are mad when the movers were there, they were packing, he runs across. He saw my truck out there. He actually came across just to come and tell me, said that they came back to his property. They came back. I said, wow. They said, yeah, they're running around my property down there, and they came back. They said, you hear them making the same noise and everything. But he didn't mention they came up to him, to his fence line, but he did hear him running around in the same area where the deer feeder's at. That's update on that. He actually, I mean, he came over all excited to tell me that.
Yeah.
I said, really? Of course, I was in a hurry, you know, I had to go. But he mentioned that. Now, this recent update, I didn't put two and two together because, like I said, I take care of my dad, and my mind's, I kind of sold the business down, and I take care of my dad. Well, there's incidents been happening, and to me, well, you know how the law enforcement has mentioned a couple of other incidents that you mentioned on your podcast. They dismiss it. Well, this person got killed, or they're drug addicts, you know. That's the way they dismiss the victim. That's really sad, but they dismiss the victim the way they got killed.
Yeah. Well, they do that a lot.
And I live in a small community. It's not a big community. It's a small community. You know, I mean, right here where I live by the lake. And I think in town is like maybe 2,200 people population in town, right? And, but, boom, another person disappears. And then another person disappears. Now, and people are now getting really worried. Whoa, what's going on? And we're in a small...
So there's three people that disappeared at this point.
Huh? What was that?
3 people disappeared at this point?
No, it's more. 5.
5, okay, wow.
5 people, but they found 2, and this is really strange. I didn't put nothing because I hear it in the community.
Yeah.
I hear it. Well, they found one girl. She was up on the tree, and I don't know, because I listened, but you know, you kind of just in converse, just people talking at the restaurant. Well, they found her in the tree, and what's really weird, I don't know if she was tied up or she was on the tree. That's the thing, I don't know. That's the point, but she was on the tree. Okay, they found her on the tree, and then the way they found her, she had deep puncture wounds on the back of her neck and shoulders. Okay? And it was really strange, of course. Now, because now more people are missing. And you know what they dismiss it? This is really, okay, either they think people are stupid. I know the parent, the mother of the daughter, well, she's a grown woman, but the mother and daughter is pursuing more investigation, but they said, their conclusion said it was suicide. Really? They said it was
puncture
suicide.
Wounds in
the back.
Yeah, that's
right. How in the world did she come on and still be alive and still stabbing herself? Multiple.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
Yeah. I think they do that. Like, I think they do things like that and post it just to see if anyone's going to catch on to it. And then when no one says anything, you know, out in the community, I think then it's just like, okay, we pulled the fast one on them, you know, let's not share it again. You know, it's just, I think they do that just to have an easier time the next time a person disappears or dies mysteriously.
Right. Well, you know, and I understand, you know, small places like this in the hill country, yeah, there's going to be drugs. You're going to hear stories about meth. Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of places like that, but they dismiss these victims. They're part of that environment, you know.
Yeah.
And there was another one. It's all around this area. The same area with all these sightings been encountered, the people encountered at the Dogman. It's all in this area. There was another girl who was found in the ditch.
Mm.
Yeah, she was found in the ditch. No, you know what? It was in a ravine. It wasn't a ditch. It was like a ravine in the woods. That's right. It was in a ravine in the woods. They found her and then marked it off. She died. Natural causes or something, but they never got detail of that. They never said anything detailed. And like I said now, and I'm thinking, well, that's kind of strange. Well, you start thinking the mentality or what they're trying to feed you. You're thinking, well, maybe they were involved with stuff. But the one that threw me off, that committed suicide, that's a red flag. But I was thinking, well, maybe because, I noticed that there have been a couple of people walking in the middle of the night. I mean, out here in the wooded area and in the dark. I mean, coming home and I hit them with a headlight, and I'm shocked these people are walking out of the middle of nowhere. But anyway, so I'm thinking, well, I'm kind of thinking, well, these are the victims that I've been seeing walking around. You don't see them around anymore. I don't know, and then in another one, a gentleman disappeared, and they have not found him. And then 2 more other people have disappeared. I don't know if they're male or female, but I know they said it was 5 people. They found 2, 3 they have not found 3 of them. So, okay. And then on the 21st, because now people are really getting concerned with what's going on out here. Now you see in the community, people are talking, hey, what's going on here and all that. Well, real late at night, a gentleman mentioned that flew over town, and I guess he knows this helicopter. He said it was a Bell helicopter, all black. No signal, no identification on it, nothing. Flew over his building and landed at a abandoned or vacant old racing track where they had horse races here in town, and landed there. And from that point, people were asking, well, what's going on? Anything? And of course, they're just, this is a government helicopter. And then one said, well, maybe they're bringing the FBI to see what's going on, missing people. They're just guessing what it was. But my question, why is this thing coming at late at night in a black helicopter? Now, so all this is happening in our area. Yeah. That is the update that I'm really concerned what's going on around here in this area.
Yeah, with helicopters flying around, and that is concerning, especially, with the experiences that you've had in the area, knowing what you know. Your father-in-law being friends with the game warden, and it's strange because, like you said, coming in at night under the shroud of darkness, it's strange. It's almost like Virginia, at the beginning of the year with all those people going missing in Virginia, and then deaths kind of. When they find these people, there's 8 people that disappeared in Virginia, and
yes, you know what? I'm sorry, Jeff, to interrupt you. Almost forgot that about that. I think it was the girl, or the other girl. I forgot I mentioned that her arms, they're almost ripped off, and not ripped off, and not completely off, but the joints were ripped backwards or. Her arm was, like I said, they were pulled a certain way, both arms. I forgot to mention, I don't know the one they found on the tree, or they found one on the ravine. One of those girls, she had trauma on the arm, it was pulled, and that's a point they can't understand either.
Yeah.
How they caused that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that resembles the case in Cott County, Tennessee, with the other, that woman and the man, Tony Aarons, Amber Miller, and their arms and legs were torn. Not one arm was torn right off of Amber Miller, and then the other was pretty bad. Yeah, there's a lot of weird, very strange stuff that they keep quiet. And I think they'd be better off to share this information with us.
Right.
But I think they're worried about, the more I've thought about it, I think they worry about how people would react to, of course that you got people, it's because of tourism, it's because of this, that's why they don't share it. Well, there was in Bladenboro, South Carolina, when the Beast of Bladenboro was found, there was at least 150 hunters that came into the area. And at that point, they were scared because you've got a bunch of kind of vigilantes looking for something, and innocent people could get hurt at the time. More people would get hurt. And I think that's why they keep a lot of this quiet from us too, is because they've seen how people act, and want to defend themselves or just go and want to hunt one, and not really care about repercussions, So I think that's a big thing why they don't want to share too much with us.
And also, I'm sorry, you know what? While we're talking, things are coming to thought.
Yeah.
And I also noticed too, we only have one in this area, game warden. Well, I noticed now there's 3 of them out here. And I seen them all one day. I saw them all 3 trucks heading somewhere, but I passed them by. But that's not the norm either, because we only have one in our area. And there was 3 trucks, game wardens. They were heading somewhere. And then, well, now, because like I said, I never start putting things all together, the piecing the puzzle, or what's going on, the activity here, because you hear it and okay, you hear one here and there, and then I should know them better. I should have paid attention more, but now I'm putting everything together, what's going on, and you're seeing all this activity, and of course the helicopter, the game warden, and so that's telling me something's up.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. I mean, and it's that's kind of funny because, I wonder how many other people like yourself are aware of all of this that's going on,
Well, I know the community is really upset. People are disappearing or being abducted, or whatever you want to call it. Like I said, there's 3 of them they have not found. And then, of course, they posted the pictures. I know it was a gentleman, and I know for sure I've seen the gentleman, but I don't know the other 2. I don't know if they're male or female, but like I said, they wrote off the 2 females, it's drug related, or they're people that do drugs. They it's really sad that their victims, whatever. Well, they were involved, was their past. I think one of you was involved, and that was her past, but they still stamped her that she's a drug addict.
Yeah, it's easy to do that, It's they think that the public is just gonna, it's just another addict, who cares, But it's what's the you said the community is kind of upset. What's the kind of word around town? Like, are people, making any kind of, like, are they being
well, people, I know people saying that
I mean, because obviously people aren't going to be like, yeah, it's this 8-foot walking dog, is there people saying, like making kind of, well, it's an abduction UFO, or what's the talk around, like in a diner or something, you know what I mean? Like,
right. But you know what? People, I'm the only one maybe talk about it, like on my table. Nobody really talks. They keep it. I don't know. They don't. They're gonna mention something that out there in the community. Unless among friends, they might.
Right.
But I did one time. It was a while back. Matter of fact, I think before I even did the interview with you, I did at the restaurant, and he kind of looked at me funny when I asked him, "Hey, what's going on around here?" Because of the lady that saw the Dogman eating that roadkill, and of course her friend a month later saw the same man running across. Hey, what's going on with this cryptid? This people are seeing around here. And he looked at me weird, you know.
Right.
You know, you could tell he knows, you know, but, you know, try to play it off. And I said, well, this wolf-like creature they call Dogman.
Okay.
And he said, and then he goes, what? And then he goes, well, you know, and then he stopped, and then he left. So he just left. He got his food and left. You know, he ordered stuff to go.
Right.
And that was it. But I did ask him. I confronted him. But like I said, something's going. They know something's going on.
Yeah. It's.
But like, I wish I can get close to one of these. I'm beginning to get close, talk to this marshal, and but I don't know if they will open up, because they got to know too. The community, there's two marshals in our town too, also.
Okay. Yeah.
But
you and I had talked a little bit prior to this. You had said something your dad had brought up, you know, in the 60s and 70s. Seeing some weird stuff.
Yeah,
out
because
since
I got into it and investigating, of course, especially now what's going on. Well, my dad, he's 81 years old. He lives with me. He finally opened up, and they mentioned that they seen things back in the late 50s and the 60s. Okay, and then he said he ran into a big wolf. In his mind, he thought it was a timber wolf.
Okay.
Well, this is in Texas. This is South Texas, so
yeah. I
don't know the history of if there are any timber wolves out here in South Texas.
Yeah,
but also my grandfather, he lived in Cotulla, Texas. That's really south. He mentioned, told my dad about these big wolves running around. But they never mentioned it was bipedal or anything, but they mentioned these wolves were huge, you know, running around. Well, my dad's really interested in it because, as a matter of fact, Jeff, he mentioned that yesterday.
Really?
That about the timber wolf. He said he was like within 10 feet away. And then of course, he was looking at it face to face, and he told me he had big, bright, big eyes, yellow eyes. As a matter of fact, that's the first thing you mentioned about the eyes. You know, out of the blue, my dad, because I listen to your show when I'm driving, and he likes to listen to it too. You know, we're driving, and I have to pause your show because he wanted to mention that to me. But yeah, he's mentioned it, that here was a big one. In his mind, he thought it was a timber wolf.
Right. Yeah,
you know,
I don't, you know, like we had said, I don't think there, I might be wrong, but I don't think there were timber wolves in that area of Texas. I think, you know, some red wolves, maybe some Mexican, you know, wolves, I forget but they're not that big, you know. It's
right.
You're not looking at something that's more than 100 pounds, if that, you know. So
right.
That's a strange set of events even back then. So it's been going on for a while in that area.
Right. And like I said, I mentioned earlier, I ain't going to mention his name. There's a guy I'm communicating with, and he lives in Austin. And you and I, on our first interview, we mentioned about Highway 281,
Yeah.
north to south. There's a lot of incidents going on, and then 281 goes all the way to Hood County. Along that corridor 281, there's a lot of people have reported it, and this gentleman confirmed that there's a lot of encounters along 281.
Yeah.
La Paz, Texas, west of Killeen, Camper, Texas, Marble Fall. All that's along 281. So, they're not, like I said, you hear different states are talking about it, Kentucky and then different places, Hot Point or Mississippi, but nobody really, I don't see really people really talking about much about Texas, but there's a lot of things going on here.
Yeah, there's definitely, I think the reason why is because more people are quieter about things. It's Texas. They want to keep keep it to themselves, and that way they're it's kind of like that macho thing. Let's not talk about it. If we talk about it, then it's real, or
Right.
we can handle it. And there's a lot that goes on in Texas. You've got it's one of the biggest states of the union, minus Alaska, and there's numerous UFO, Dogman, Bigfoot. I've heard of a bipedal, large kind of cat-like creature, which I don't know. I think maybe misidentified for like what I call the werewolf with the human-like legs, no tail,
Right.
and short snout. But Texas is a hot spot for the paranormal, and I don't know why, but maybe it's just because it's so big. And my friend James Dark Waters talks about how, and we had said this when we were talking earlier, how, and you had brought it up, that you think they move around at this point in the year, and James Dark Waters talks about how they migrate, and maybe a lot of people see these things when they're during migrating season, when they're going south or whatever. I've heard Dogman and Bigfoot rounding up deer and herding them to go south with them, so they have a food source.
Right.
Through Oklahoma, Texas, that area. It's very strange.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier too when we were talking, is that every year we had tons of deer. Don't get me wrong, we still have deer, but you don't see as much.
Right.
You try to think, you trying to say, it's the drought, but there's still a lot of water resources here, and of course a lot of vegetation, but our population has been depleted.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking is these things running around, and like you and I were talking earlier, and it's like, I've been here, living here almost 10 years in this house, and my sister mentioned it once. She heard howling one time. She was up in the middle of the night, because in my shop I have another refrigerator, and she keeps her soda water in there, and she got up in the middle of the night and she heard howling. And I said, you really did. She'd have woke me up. But when you and I were talking, just want to go earlier, there was howling, and dogs were going crazy, and then also the dogs got quiet.
Yeah.
And then the area that one witness I mentioned in my area that saw it, and because he lives about maybe 200 yards away from me, the one he said came out in the middle of the night, saw one standing behind his tree.
Yeah.
So he ran inside to grab his gun and a camera. Well, when he did that, he saw it take off running. And I have a branch of the lake that comes right in front of my shop. Well, it's dry now. The lake has gone down. And it was down then that dogman ran across along that lake bed. It's not that big. It was like just a small, narrow branch, maybe 40 foot wide. and it ran across that way. Well, just now, about within like 4 minutes ago, dogs were going crazy down that area just now.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden there's silence. Right now they just went silent. That's a coincidence that you and I are talking.
Yeah.
Never heard, all these years, never heard howling. And that when you and I were talking earlier of the first time, right now, dogs were going crazy down south where the guy lives in that area, down the road from me.
Yeah, that
now
was
all of a sudden the dog just stops all at once.
Yeah, that was a strange. Yeah, when you had stopped. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, they kind of fade out, but no, they just quit.
Yep.
So
well, I appreciate you keeping in touch, and if you do end up making any contact or headway with that guy, the marshal there that you said you were gonna, and if you hear anything, even if you don't want to have your name associated with it, just send me some info, and I'll share it. But I really appreciate the updates, what's going on in the Hood County region and San Antonio region, because there is a lot going on, and like you said, you've been there for 10 years, you've never heard howling. Your sister has heard it once, then you hear it tonight. Maybe it is migrating season, so
right. And I'm gonna go down that area and just to see if I catch anything in the middle of the night. Of course, I ain't gonna be dumb and get out of the vehicle, but see if I catch anything running across what they seen it.
Right.
So, but no, I appreciate you, Jeff, and then giving me the opportunity to give you this update. Hope it was plenty of information, but now the community is really concerned. These people are missing, and especially they dismissed that one girl that was suicide with puncture wounds. They didn't say what kind of puncture wounds they were in the back of her neck and shoulders.
Yep.
That's what's really weird, and now things are beginning to make sense. Now things are some activity with the government or enforcement and all that's is real active here right now.
Yeah. Well, do me a favor, don't hang up, because I'd like to talk to you for a minute before we let each other go. But once again, thank you for coming on, and I appreciate it, and keep me in the loop, my friend.
Will do.
All right. Have a good night.
You too now. Thank you.
And there you have it, folks. A lot of information shared by Nick. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. How about those video clips? Just absolutely baffling and terrifying. Guys, thank you once again for supporting the channel. It is your support that keeps the channel growing and going, and what gives folks like Nick and all of us a place and a chance to share our experiences judgment-free, just simply treated with the respect we all deserve. Thank you. Please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and friends. These creatures are real. They are out there and dangerous. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. And until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless.